What's up, J Fusion fans, and welcome back to another superhero time review. Now, I am sorry I wasn't able to make one last week, but I am making up for it today. So, before we continue on, I would like to remind everyone that these videos are not intended for viewers under 13 and some spoiler alerts just in case. So, let's go. Now, for Kamen Rider Saber, the highlight of this episode, of course, is the debut of Kamen Rider Psycho. So he is interesting because his rider form isn't really that kind of Kamen Rider in the traditional sense. So he's the sword. That sword, yep, that's him. The figure that holds him, that's basically a shadow that he can cast and control like a puppet to make it look like there's someone holding him, but really, Psycho himself can move on his own and would even allow Saber to wield him as a sword. So, yeah, that's it. That's his form. But what is interesting here is that, that upcoming conflict. So, uh, like I've mentioned in my previous video about Yuri, aka Kamen Rider Psycho, so this is where he makes his debut, and I have mentioned there that Toma will also be at odds with the other swordsmen from the northern base. So again, by the events of episode 13 or 15 rather, so the previous episode, so last week's episode, after fighting a seemingly major battle, and I I mean really it was a big battle. So after overcoming the odds, after gaining a significant victory against Megiddo and Kamen Rider Caliber, so you would expect the bonds of the swordsmen of the northern base to be as tight as ever, and of course that would include Toma. But then suddenly things happen, and now they're turning on him, and someone may have been instigating that Toma would be the next traitor. So I'm not sure who's saying that, and I'm not sure what's going to happen, but nonetheless, the other swordsmen from the northern base now see Toma as, well, not really an enemy, not just yet, but definitely a potential threat, and they probably don't trust him anymore. And probably the next time that they see him, they would probably try to finish him off. And here comes Kamen Rider Psycho to the rescue. So, uh, even though he is a sentient sword, well, this is the thing about Kamen Rider Psycho. Yes, he does transform into a sword, but whether he is just assuming the form of a sword when he transforms, or maybe he is a sword that again has become sentient, and the human form that we see is just a manifestation. I'm not sure. We're going to have to learn about that sometime in the future. But yeah, anyway, Psycho, aka Yuri, comes in to save Toma, and that's basically the point of this episode. So, again, very interesting plot right here. Uh, there's not really much happening in terms of the actual episode. Like, again, Toma becomes suddenly becomes a threat to the northern base of the Sword of Logos, and Yuri comes in to save him, transforming into Kamen Rider Psycho, and that's it. But definitely, this new development is interesting to watch. So I would say for today's Kamen Rider Saber, I would give it a 4 out of 5. So, moving on to Kina Major. Now, for Kina Major, technically today is a Senna focus episode, but Sayo also becomes very active as well. Now, I think I have mentioned this before, and I probably have said in a previous superhero time review video, I believe, that I really wanted to see an episode where the ladies shine, and I think this is it. Now, of course, like a few episodes ago, like Sayo was definitely the star in her own focus episodes, but that's just Sayo herself. And again, as I mentioned, well, today is technically a Senna focus episode. Sayo and even Yodonna are very important to today's plots as well. So, for summary, what happens is Senna and Sayo go out on just a girls' day out together, and then Yodonheim suddenly appears. Of course, Yodon now leading the Pechats, and with an attack from Yodonna, suddenly Senna is split into five personalities. So each Senna has basically each part of Senna has a distinct personality. Like, of course, we see the over, like the very positive, like very hyped Senna. You know, there is actually also a Senna that's a bit more intellectual and like a bit more the can do Senna, like a more strategic side to her. So the fifth persona, so the fifth part of Senna's personality is actually the focus here. So this is actually the Senna that is well, kind of negative in a way. So this kind of Senna basically expects for the worst things to happen, but it becomes apparent in the episode that this part of Senna's personality is actually required, as evidenced in the giant battle that happens midway. So uh, it is shown that Senna can just come together and you know basically put herself back together normally, like just being in contact with the other personas would put Senna back together. So the other four personas have done it. So the fifth, thinking that she's not needed, runs away, and this is where things get interesting. So suddenly there's a giant battle, and Senna actually has a strategy to push every push the enemy into the other mechs so they can attack it together. However, Senna did not realize that there are civilians that are going to be caught in that attack, and if the attack does push through, they would die. So without this fifth part of Senna, so she actually wouldn't think things through. Like, she would just be like, go get him, like the go get him attitude. So without this negative part of her that thinks of the worst possible scenarios, so yeah, she actually becomes so reckless. And so Sayo decides to search for this uh fifth persona of Senna, and it happens on a beach. So there's a beach chase, and well, personally, I found it fan servicey. So like, it made me go but it was very emotional, and you know looking at that scene from an acting perspective, like Miyokudo and Yume Shinjo actually really have great acting skills here. So of course, Yume Shinjo as in portraying five personalities in one scene, and then again, like, we see a lot of emotion actually. So Definitely, I love that scene for not only for its fan service, but for the actual acting involved. So, of course, eventually, this fifth Senna agrees to rejoin the other personas and make Senna whole again. And this is basically Senna accepting her worst personality and actually seeing it as a necessity in order to actually function not just as a Kira Major but as a normal person, which is amazing. And probably the climax of this episode is the debut of Emperor Yodon himself. So, yes, the big bad of Yodonheim finally reveals himself, and you know that the final arc is getting closer when the final boss shows himself. And how he appears is actually very interesting. How he comes out, now that one I'm not going to spoil, so that's for you guys to see. So for this episode of Kira Major, I'm actually giving it 5 out of 5. The previous two episodes I really didn't like. So like Mabushina getting drunk because of tea, and well, Juru in a rap battle, which for me the high point was actually Yodonna rapping. Yeah, I really didn't like those episodes. So I'll be kind of just give the previous episode a 3 out of 3. So yeah, but definitely today's episodes, definitely today's Kina Major made up for those past two episodes. So still very good show in general. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I will see you again on the next superhero time review. Oh, by the way, don't forget to like this video, comment, share this video, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell, okay? So anyways, thank you for watching again, and I'll see you next time. Bye!